Bonjour, bienvenue. Welcome back to Grade 7 French. This is the first of two grammar slash parts of speech lessons from Unité 2. This lesson is all about l'impératif. In English, there are times when we give instructions or orders to another person or group of people without saying the person slash people's names. This is called speaking in the imperative. And here are a couple of examples. Finish your work. Listen to me. Notice on both of those statements, I didn't refer to a person by their name. I didn't say whether I was speaking to one person or to a group of people. I just gave the directions. Um, that's the imperative or l'imperatif. So just put the video on pause so that you can think of a couple of other examples of giving instructions in the imperative. And don't worry, you can think of examples of the imperative in English, and we'll talk about it in tomorrow's class. All right, let's move ahead. So again, in French, we call this l'impératif. There are three subjects who we can give instructions to in l'impératif. Tu, that means you, like one person. Nous, meaning we or us, or vous, a group of people who you are speaking to. So this is a nice thing about l'impératif. We don't have to work with all 8 subjects. We're just working with these 3, tu, nous, and vous. And so the charts on the next 3 slides will show us how to conjugate verbs when writing in l'impératif. All right, let's start with ER verbs. If a verb ends in ER, we drop the ER and add the following. Okay, if the subject is to, then we drop the ER, and all we put is an E. If the subject is new, we drop the ER, and we write O, N, S. And if the subject is vous, we drop the ER, and at the end of the verb, we write the letters E, Z. So just put the video on pause for a minute, just study this over. You may also want to, as we progress through the video, backtrack to this slide as well as the next two. But for now, just put the video on pause so you can study over this chart. Okay, let's move ahead. Looking at RE verbs. If a verb ends in RE, we drop the RE and we add the following. If the subject is to, you drop the RE and you write an S at the end. Okay, if the subject is new, write O, N, S. If the subject is vous, drop the RE from the verb and write E, Z. Do you see a pattern? So far, new and vous are both the same. For new, we end with O and S. For vous, we end with EZ. The difference is with to. Okay, for RE verbs, you end the verb with an S. Okay, so put the video on pause just so that you can absorb this chart. Okay, and one final chart to go through. If a verb ends in IR, we drop the IR and add. Okay, for to, we write IS. Subject is new. I'm going to write ISS O N S. And then if the subject is vous, you may already have guessed it. It's going to be ISS EZ. So for IR, it's a little bit longer. Just have to remember that for new and vous, we start off with the ISS, and then we can add our usual 3 or 2 letters at the end. Okay, so pause the video for a minute so you can read over this chart. Okay, moving on. Okay, so now on these next 3 slides, we're going to practice using l'imperatif. For each of the following questions on this slide, we're going to conjugate the verb for the subject to. So for example, we have laver, la vaisselle, wash the dishes. Okay, the subject is to. It's an ER verb. So that means when we write the verb, we drop the ER, but we put an E at the end. Okay, then we can just write la vaisselle. Okay, I'll do the first one here. We have finir tes devoirs. Subject is to. It's an IR verb. So I'm going to start off with FIN. But then going back to my chart, I know that when it's to, I drop the IR and I put IS. Okay? And then I can just write the rest of my sentence. Okay? Finir, or sorry, finis tes devoirs means finish your homework. Okay, so I want you to put the video on pause, and on a separate piece of paper, I want you to work on the next 4 problems. Again, the subject for all 4 remaining problems are to. So please begin. All right, moving on to our next slide. Now for these questions, we're going to conjugate the verb for the subject nu. So par exemple, for example, aller au cinéma, as in go to the cinema, or let's go to the cinema. So it's aller, which is an ER verb, and the rule is I drop the ER, I write ONS at the end. So allons au cinéma. Okay, I'll do the first one here. We've got jouer aux cartes. So I can start off with the joue. It's an ER verb. Subject is nu. So I'm going to drop the ER. At the end, I'm going to write ONS. So I get jouons. Okay, and then this is the beauty of l'imperatif. I can just write the rest of the sentence as is. So I have jouons aux cartes, meaning play cards, or let's play cards. Okay, so you're going to put the video on pause so that you can try these remaining 4 problems. Remember, the subject you're working with is nu. Please begin. Okay, one more slide. And for these questions, we are going to conjugate the verb for the subject, vous. Par exemple, for example. Fermez les cahiers, as in close your workbooks. So subject's vous, it's an ER verb. So I need to drop the ER, change it to EZ, and les cahiers. Close your cahiers, or close your workbooks. Okay, let's see. I'll do the first one again. So we have parler plus fort. So speak strongly. Okay, it's an ER verb. So I'll just start my verb, PARL. But because it's a VU, I'm going to drop the ER. I'm going to put EZ at the end. Okay, and then I can just copy the rest of the sentence. So I have parler, plus, fort, and speak strongly. All right, so you know the deal. You're going to put the video on pause and you're going to work on these last 4 questions on a separate piece of paper, keeping in mind that the subject for all 4 remaining problems is VU. So please start now. All right. Okay, good stuff. So after we go through this video and these 15 questions in class, I'm going to give you some time to work independently. So make sure that you have your cahiers in tomorrow's class. But until then, this concludes today's video.